Hey everyone, it's Kyle here, and here's that Q&A video that I've been talking about. Now, for those of you who have been out of the loop for a bit, a few weeks ago to celebrate 11,000 subscribers, I asked my viewers to ask me a question because I wanted to do a Q&A video in celebration of that milestone. So just ask me about anything, and generally most people ask me about my robotics experience. Some people ask a few other interesting questions, but we'll be getting to those in a minute. As you see, I've got my laptop right in front of me with all of the questions that you've asked me, and I'm just going to be running through them in order, and I might bump into some questions that have already been asked and answered, because I'm just reading off in order. But that's okay. It's kind of an informal video today. As you see, I'm not in my usual Builder Dude 35 t-shirt. This is just normally what I wear when I'm lounging around the house. Random t-shirt, Brookhaven t-shirt from the summer internship that I completed a few months ago. Sweatshirt because it's November and it's cold. But anyway, I think that's enough yammering. Let's get to the questions. Our first question is from Awesome Paperwork, and they asked, have you been part of an FLL team? If so, which one? I competed in FLL for 3 years when I was in middle school. Starting when I was in 6th grade, we were a home team called Radical Robotics. Robotics spelt with an X. The name was my idea. It's kind of cringy now that I think of it, but I was 11 years old, so what more do you expect from 11-year-old Kyle? Then in my second year in 7th grade, it moved to my middle school, was hosting the team, and we became Rocky Point Radical Robotics. And then after that, my 8th grade year, the team was still called Rocky Point Radical Robotics. That was back before they standardized your registration numbers, and they changed every year, which was just a pain. And then I think the year after that, they finally fixed registration numbers. But anyway, Rocky Point Radical Robotics is still a team at my middle school. They have another team too called the Robo Eagles. And they're both part of my middle school. They both still compete in FLL, and I mentor those teams. Our second question is from Nathaniel Luke, and it's asked in all caps. How old are you, and when did you start joining robotics competition, and what category did you enjoy and find the hardest and most challenging? So I'm currently 17 years old. I just turned 17 like 2 months ago. I started robotics, like I said, when I was 11 years old. I joined an FLL team in 6th grade. And of the 3 years that I competed in FLL, I like the Nature's Fury challenge the best, especially considering at that point I had the most experience with building and designing robots. So I was able to just go wild with all kinds of things. Especially there was like an obstacle kind of thing that you had to climb over to get to like an end zone. And my friend and I we just designed this absolutely crazy kind of like attachment or base you would snap the robot on. And it would be like this 4-wheel drive kind of monster truck type thing that would climb over the obstacles. And I'm rambling on and on, but we called the thing the Behemoth. It was just the coolest thing. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures or videos of it. I regret that, and I wish I did. But anyway, that's to get back to the original question. I'm 17 years old. I started when I was 11, and my favorite FLL challenge was Nature's Fury. Bhavin Adavini asks, why do you do tutorials? Alright, why do I make tutorials? That is another great question because I'm a very busy student. As you could probably tell, I do a whole bunch of different things from varsity cross country to Metropolitan Orchestra, and like the ridiculous amount of homework I get from all of the different advanced placement courses I'm in. So why do I dedicate all of this time to making a new tutorial video every single Thursday, almost every Thursday in the year? The reason is, and this is going to sound totally corny, and I know half of you won't believe this, but the reason is my viewers. And I know that's the typical cop-out answer a lot of people give. It's like, oh yeah, my fans are what motivate me to do X and X thing. But that's really the reason why. I mean, I started doing it just out of curiosity because I was mentoring my middle school robotics team. And I was like, well, I have all this experience I gained from competing in FLL. Can I reach a larger audience? So I started making these tutorials just kind of like to document some of the stuff that I've learned, and a few people stumbled upon these videos and they really liked them, and I was shocked by the overwhelming positive reaction that I got. It was from a small group of people, but they really liked my videos and they encouraged me to keep making more. And they said, well, we really like what we were doing. Can you keep more? We'd like to see what you have. And so I was like, okay, I guess I could do that. And I made some more videos, and pretty soon I was kind of like stuck making a video every week. I don't want to say stuck making a video every week because I really do enjoy interacting with my audience and stuff. And now I have I almost want to think of like a small army of people, almost 12,000 subscribers now. I think the current count is 11,700 something at the time I'm recording this video. And that is fantastic. And the feedback that I get from people is, it really makes my day, especially every now and then somebody writes me a fantastic message to my website for no other reason than to say thank you for the work that I've done, and it makes me feel like I'm making a difference in the world. And that's really what is most important to me, at least, is because I could spend all my time playing Minecraft, or no, not Minecraft. I don't like Minecraft, but you know what I mean. I could just do, I don't know, whatever, watch SpongeBob or something on my couch, but that's not helping people. That's like rotting my brain or something. I'd rather be productive, and this is a way that I can help people, but also get my name out in the world and just make a difference. And I like to think that I've helped a lot of people. A lot of people have emailed me and tell me that I have helped them. A lot of young people, a lot of older people, coaches, students, and that's really why I make these tutorials, is because I feel like I'm making an impact. Okay, so I guess I also have to address the elephant in the room, and that is money. A lot of people ask me about what kind of money I make with my YouTube channel, and especially this summer, some kid I met, I talked to him about my YouTube channel and told him I had however many thousand subscribers I had at the time, and he's really impressed. He's like, "Wow, I'm thinking of starting a YouTube channel with my friends so I can make money off of it." Now, I am technically forbidden from telling you how much money I make off of my videos, but it's not a lot, and it's not a stable amount of money either. It's not like I make this amount of money per video or this amount of money per views. I think somebody says you make $100 for every 1,000 subscribers that you have. That's totally bogus. I don't make anywhere near that amount. Like I said, I can't tell you the exact amount, and it's not, like I said, it's not a steady amount of money. So what I say to all of you guys, if you're thinking about making a YouTube channel, I think it's a fantastic thing to do, as long as you're passionate about what you're doing. Don't do it for the money, because you're not going to make any money. It's going to take like forever for you to even get one check from AdSense. And like by the time you get that, you would have put in hundreds of hours into the channel. So don't ever do any of this stuff for the money. Do it because you love it, and do it for like a legitimate reason, like you want to make a difference, or you just want to have fun making the videos, you want to interact with your audience. Money is a terrible motivator for these kinds of things, at least. Yiren Lee asks, may I know what inspired you to contribute to the robotics community? So I think I covered most of the points for this question in that last rant that I just went on for like 4 minutes. But just to summarize what I said, to answer your question, it started off as kind of like a curious thing, because I was already mentoring my middle school robotics team. So I wanted to say, hey, what happens if I put my lessons online? And I was motivated to keep going by the positive feedback that I got. And now I keep doing it because I like the thought that I'm helping people, making a difference in the world. And that's something that I find very fulfilling, that I'm using my time productively to help people instead of just playing Minecraft or eating chocolate all the time. Alright, yeah, I keep bringing up the Minecraft thing. I'm sorry about that. If you play Minecraft, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with playing Minecraft. I think it's a good game. I personally don't like it, but that's just, of course, my opinion and not a fact. And I'm certain that whoever made that game is a lot wealthier than I am, so I really can't complain about their success. Geez, it would be interesting, I guess, at this point to do a Kyle plays Minecraft video, like a Kyle reacts kind of thing. Well, that would be interesting. Miguel Castillo Rodriguez asks, how did you get to know EV3 or everything related with Mindstorm or Lego? You see, it's actually quite simple. I'm a Lego wizard. I know all. Okay. But to seriously answer your question, is I just kind of started building, experimenting and stuff. I got my first robotics set, I think, when I was 11 years old, about the same time that I started doing FLL. And my first designs were terrible. The Timiton 3.5 was like the first robot that I ever completed, and it's 3.5 being the first is because it took me 3.5 tries before I got it right, and like the final product was kind of half baked, and it was just poorly made, I guess, but it's good for a first attempt. So anyway, what I'm saying is I just kind of started just building stuff and experimenting and learning. And even though the first robot that I built really wasn't the greatest thing in the world, I learned a lot from my experience of building it. And my second robot was immediately better than the first one. And each successive one, I've been honing my skills, just learning more about building with Legos. So for anyone who's just starting out, and I know a lot of people are intimidated by some of the Lego builders who are really good out there, and there are some who are worlds better than I am even. Just start building. Everybody starts somewhere. The journey of 1,000 steps begins with, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. There you go. So just start experimenting, and learning is a slow process, but everybody's got to start somewhere, and even I started at the bottom. Our next question is, what is your best tip for FLL? My best tip for FLL? Watch my videos, all of them, all the way through in all of their entirety, in order. Well, in all seriousness, asking me to give you one piece of advice for a very complicated, very nuanced robotics competition that has a lot of layers, it's just not necessarily possible. There's not one thing that I can say that'll immediately make you beat all the rest of the competition and get the highest score and stuff. I just recommend that you just get out there and remove the attitude that you're there to win. Instead, you're there to learn, and eventually you'll learn enough that you can win. Winning is a byproduct of learning, not the other way around. And watch my video. Al Douglas asks, what do you want to do after high school? Career plans? Right, so I'm currently in my senior year of high school, and I'm right in the middle of my college applications right now. I'm going to go to college to study mechanical engineering, possibly even computer engineering. Who knows? I'm definitely going to do engineering of some kind because ultimately I want to be a robotics engineer. Because obviously I love robots if I'm spending all this time making videos every week. I think it would be really cool if I got hired by one of the automotive companies like GM, Ford, or Toyota to work on their autonomous car projects, because I've also done other self-driving car projects on the side. And of course there's a lot of robotics involved with that, so I think that would be a really cool thing to do for a career, a future career even. But in terms of school, I'm going to go to school, study engineering, and get a master's degree. So yeah. NSC asks, EV3 kits are very expensive for common man. Can you tell a way of getting it for free? Yeah, I totally hear where you're coming from. EV3 kits are very expensive, especially if you're young and you don't have a lot of money saved up. It could take forever before you have enough money saved up. And a lot of people don't necessarily have the disposable income. Unfortunately, there's no way you can really get an EV3 for free unless you happen to stumble upon some kind of raffle at a local community event, a maker fair, a library. I wish I could offer some kind of advice, but there's no really good way to get an EV3 for free. And yes, they are kind of expensive. Hal9000 Robotics asks, what does your room look like? That's a good question. It looks like this. Alright, so this is what Kyle's room looks like, and it's very messy, I'm not going to lie. Over here we have a fish tank. That's pretty cool. We got fish. They're kind of trying to sleep right now, late at night. Over here we have a total mess plus PlayStation, total mess of books, dresser, rocking chair that doesn't fit anywhere else in our house, so it goes there. Here's my desk. I have a very big desk because I work on a lot of different things at once. This is kind of like my office / room if you think about it. It's kind of cool, kind of nerdy. This is the four-legged walking pneumatic robot that I built about a year ago. Here's the PyStorms robot. That's Sirius over there. Over here, this is really interesting. This was going to be a Fallout 4 SentryBot type robot, and I was really excited about this project. I was going to make it with the brick plug, but unfortunately it seems like this is going to be a permanent work in progress, as I just can't seem to find the time to finish it, which is unfortunate because I was really excited for this project. I had to scavenge some parts for that to build this, which is a rebuild of my KG security tank from about 2 years ago, which I did for a project that I'm working on right now, which I can't tell you about now, but you'll find out about it soon enough. Up here I've got some more Lego stuff. Here I've got a project planning board that I never use because I never find the time to update it. Here's a picture of me at Carnegie Hall with the Metropolitan Orchestra. Nissan poster, because why not? Total mess on my wall of just random stuff, ticket stubs and whatnot. Some more letters, NISMA letters, pictures, fish tank again. So yeah, that's my room. Very messy, but this is where I live. Christopher asks, and no, I will not attempt to mispronounce that name. In which part of robotics are you better, in building or in programming? Which one do you prefer? I started off in FLL exclusively as a builder, and as I went on I was mostly a builder and I incorporated some programming. Since then I've done a lot more independent programming projects on my own, and I've especially gotten into C a lot. I've always liked the building part of robotics better, but over time, more and more, I've gotten more involved with the software, and I like that too. But being able to construct things with my hands and then see it actually move and do stuff is what I really enjoy. And that's why I've done a lot of remote control cars, and that's what I started off with when I started doing robots, because I just wanted to experiment with differentials and transmissions and different motors. That's what's really the most interesting to me. Zena Harani asks, are you still a team member in an FLL team? No, I don't still do FLL, unfortunately, though I think it would be fun if I still did. Like I said, I'm in 12th grade now. My last year of FLL was in 8th grade when I was 13 years old, because in the US, or at least in my region, the age limit is 13. And I know in a lot of other countries internationally, the age limit is 16. So I could have competed in FLL for a bunch more years. But my specific region, I was restricted to 13, so I aged out of FLL 4 years ago. Though I did mention earlier that my middle school still has the FLL team and I do mentor them. Frosty with a Z asks, what was your team name in Nature's Fury? Also, have you done FRC? So as I mentioned before, when I was in FLL, my team name was Rocky Point Radical Robotics. And no, I haven't done FRC. Since I aged out of FLL, I've actually gone to FTC, which is the school that my high school has. Because I go to a small high school, we don't have enough money for an FRC team. It's very expensive. It's like 50 grand, I think, per season. So I do FTC, which is the other high school competition. Stanley Shu asks, is there any very important Lego pieces you would recommend buying? A lot of cool Lego pieces out there, and each year they seem to add more, but there are some core Lego pieces that I think everybody should have experience experimenting with. All different kinds of gears, especially worm gears. Clutch gears are pretty cool too, rack and pinion. Also universal joints, which are really awesome. They're those like axles that can bend and twist but still transfer power, and those I've always used for making all-wheel drive powertrains. So I just recommend buying some of the more kind of obscure mechanical pieces and start experimenting with them, because it's great to learn about how they work and how they're applied in real life. David Galvin asks, show us your Lego stock and what kind of pieces you find interesting. So going over my Lego stuff, here are all of the spare parts that I have at the moment. I have the expansion kit, which practically has very little in it, because most of my parts are locked up in some of the random creations that I have built currently, because I used to just build one thing, play with it for a while, then take it apart, and then build something new. But now I have enough to keep my stuff assembled, which is really nice, and I really like doing that. So these are basically all of the parts that I have right here, which I said it might not look like a lot, but that's because I have a lot of stuff currently built right now. And then this is the motors and sensors that I currently have. Those are the free Lego parts, and like I said, I already went over each of the robots that I currently have built. And that's that for my Lego stuff. And as for pieces I find interesting, I have these. These are the universal joints that I was talking about. They're just so much fun to play with. They transfer power across at an angle, and I use them in the Thundersmart, which is an all-wheel drive vehicle. As you can see, I have the universal joint in there, which allows the four-wheel drive to happen, so you can power your front wheels while you're turning. There's also the constant velocity joint that's included in the expansion kit, it's very similar to a universal joint. It's a little smoother, but it has a more restricted range of motion. This is a synchro, which is another really cool Lego piece to try out if you ever get the chance. These are used for shifting transmissions nice and smoothly, and it took me years to figure out how to use these and get them to work refined in a transmission. And I like to think I figured it out. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But these are also really cool pieces to try out if you ever get the chance. Siddharth Jassy asks, what are your hobbies and what do you think you will do when your channel expands? That is a fantastic question. So as for my hobbies, first I'll state the obvious. I build robots. Duh. And I make these robotics videos, but you guys know that. Outside of that, I'm also really interested in music. I play the double bass in the Metropolitan Orchestra. I also do NISMA. In a week or so, I'm going to be going up to Rochester for the All-State Festival, which is really cool. I'm very excited for that. I play guitar. Not good at guitar, but I play it for fun. And aside from that, I also run cross country, and I'm on my high school's, or was on my high school's varsity cross country team. Now the season's over. But I enjoy running, and I do it to keep in shape. Something else that I think is worth adding is that I don't really play a lot of video games. I know that's like a very popular pastime right now. I will play video games occasionally, but I'm really only play like maybe maximum an hour a week. It's just not a thing I'm interested in. I'd rather be doing other things. And when I do play video games, I'm usually playing single-player offline games. Something like Jak and Daxter, like an older game, or Fallout is what I've been playing recently. And before you ask, no, I don't play Minecraft, and I've never played Minecraft in my life. Nor do I ever intend to ever play Minecraft at all. And what do you plan on doing when your channel expands? That is a very interesting question, because it's something that I've also thought about too. And I'm almost at 12,000 subscribers now, which is just, it's amazing. It's a lot more than I probably ever imagined that I'd be at. And I'm very thankful for every single one of them. How much larger my channel will get, I really don't know. Mindstorms is kind of a niche community. It's a very small yet very passionate group of people. So like I said, I don't know how much larger my channel could potentially grow. But I'd like to, in the future, especially when I go away to college, keep my channel about general robots and education. Because I think of the Mindstorms platform as a means to teach robotics and various engineering concepts, not necessarily as the focus of my channel. So probably when I'll go away to college next year, I'm going to be talking about like different projects I'm working on and stuff that might not necessarily be Mindstorms, but will be mechanical engineering certainly at heart. Maybe even some programming. So that's probably where you can expect me to go down the road. But for the next few months, I'll still be doing tutorials for as long as I can until I run out of ideas. And I'll be using the Mindstorms platform to do that. And as for ideas, I always think I'm running out of ideas, but somehow I always find more ideas for tutorials, especially considering my fans contribute so many of the ideas for tutorials that I end up covering. So thank you for that. Bendick Scarpness asks, how did your team do in FLL? How many points? What was your project about? And do you have photos or videos from the competition? Yeah, so our FLL team did pretty well back in the day. The most points I think we ever scored was 368 in one match, and I think that's pretty good for our team. Now, of course, you see like numbers that are a lot higher than that now on YouTube and stuff, like 700, 800, sometimes even 900 points. I'm always wary of those because usually a lot of times those are much older kids. And like I said, the age cap where I was, which was much lower than most other places. And we did get to go in my 7th grade year, my second year of FLL. We qualified in the Long Island Regional Championship and got to go to the World Festival. And that was just a fantastic experience. So I'd say we did pretty well. Oh, and I almost forgot about the other part of your question, the project. So we always had some very interesting projects. I think in my 6th grade year, that year's theme was Food Factor, and we came up with some kind of smart fridge that would read RFID tags on food and tell you if they were like past due, so you wouldn't get like E. coli poisoning or something like that. In 7th grade, it was Senior Solutions, so we came up with some kind of MediWatch, as we called it, that would alert senior citizens when they needed to take their medications. And in 8th grade, that was Nature's Fury, and we came up with some what we called a hydro generator, which was a small generator that could run on hydrogen in an emergency when you can't get access to gasoline. Endergas0 asks, if you were to be capable of mastering one thing in an instant, what would it be and why? Wow, that's an interesting question. That's a very out-of-the-box question. I like it, though. I guess off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to mind is I'd like to be able to play piano really well. Because I'm very musically inclined, but I can't play piano to save my life. So that's like the first thing that comes to mind. I wish I could think of something better right now. And I feel like after I'm done making this video, I'm going to think of something like, oh, that's what I should have answered to that question. That would be so much better. But I guess for now I say I wish I'd be able to master playing piano in an instant. Random Thoughts Guy asks, my question is, how did you start learning this EV3 robotics? I asked as you are such a pro programmer, and I recommend you to my teachers who teach me all the things for the WRL competition, and also congratulations for all the best for your future, and keep posting videos. And also tell me who is behind the camera, just give a view of it too. Alright, so I answered most of the first parts of that question. Refer to the beginning part of the video for those answers. But to answer the last part of your question, who's behind the camera doing all of the starting and stopping of the camera, that would be my younger brother Cole. So if you'd like to see, you'd like to meet Cole, you're about to right now. Cole. So he's kind of shy. He doesn't like to be on camera that much, but that's Cole. A round of applause for him. Latchy Teague asks, if you got a chance to work on the next Mindstorm set, what would you do to make it better? Oh, I love this question. And I know I said I liked a lot of questions, but I think this is my favorite question that I've seen so far. If I had a chance to work on the next Mindstorm, so let's say hypothetically speaking the EV4, what would I change from the EV3 to make this new generation? Honestly, not much. I really like the EV3, and no, I'm not being paid by LEGO to say that. I have never been paid or endorsed by LEGO to say anything. And I say that because I started out with robotics with the NXT, and I got an NXT set, and I was very excited about all the really cool things I could build with it. And when I finally got the NXT, I was actually kind of disappointed in it because it had a lot of beams but barely any gears, and of the gears that they had, they weren't very usable, and there were hardly any connector pins. So you ended up with this whole pile of beams that you really couldn't do anything with, and you couldn't do any complicated mechanical stuff. So it was kind of a bummer. Then when I got the EV3 set a few years ago, a few years after that, I was really thrilled to see what they had done with it. They really went back and they sorted out basically every single problem I could have thought of the NXT kit, where like the motors were weird shaped and you couldn't put a beam across from the connection points on the bottom to the motor hub. They fixed out all the pieces where you don't have too many beams. You actually have enough connector pieces to build actual stuff, and they had a good selection of gears. Plus they added an infrared remote control, and the programming language finally made sense for me to once, because I think the NXT programming language was just a nightmare, and it was harder for me to understand than anything else. So anyway, that was a long ramble. I love the EV3 set, and I don't think there's much to improve it. The one thing I think could be improved is the price point, which I don't know if this is even possible. Because if you think about $350 is a lot of money for a lot of people to pay, especially for a lot of young people. I mentioned this before, and I get a lot of messages from viewers who are very interested in the EV3 but don't quite have the money to afford one. And I think that's just a shame that there are so many people interested in robotics who can't necessarily get their hands on one. So if I were to work on the next EV3 set, that would be my goal, is trying to find some way to make it more cost effective so we can get it into the hands of more people. But like I said, from a business standpoint, I don't know if that's necessarily feasible because, of course, LEGO has to make some kind of profit off of it too. Otherwise, they wouldn't bother selling them. David Luders asks, what college or university are you thinking of attending, and what area of study would you like to pursue? I think it's very fitting that the last question in this Q&A today be from Mr. David Luders, because he was one of the first people to discover my tutorials and really encouraged me to start making more and keep them going. So anyway, to answer his question, I mentioned before that I'm going to do definitely mechanical engineering, possibly computer engineering, and I'd like to do some kind of robotics engineering as my career in the future. As to the specific schools that I've applied to, I'd like to keep that information private until after I get all of my acceptances in and stuff, because I'm in the process of applying to now, and yes, I do have the list of all the schools I'm applying to, but I don't want to exactly divulge that information. But believe me, you will know in like April or May, after I get all of the decisions back from my schools. I'll make a video and I'll tell you what schools I applied to and what schools I got into, and maybe even which one I'm thinking about attending. But anyway, a lot of really cool schools I'm applying to, some I'm very excited about, and so I have my fingers crossed. So hopefully I'll get some good acceptances. Alright, so this turned out to be a very long video filled with my ever popular rants, but thank you if you're still watching. I'd like to also say thank you for every single person who asked a question. Now, if you asked a question and didn't see it in the video, don't worry, I did see your question. I didn't include it because there was another question that was really similar, and I didn't want to repeat questions as much as I could because this video, as it is very long, and I didn't want to kind of stumble upon same questions and stuff. So I got everybody's question. I'd like to say thank you for everybody who submitted a question, and maybe if my channel continues to grow, maybe at like 20,000 subscribers, I'll do another Q&A, and by that time we'll be in college, and maybe I'll have some more interesting things to share with you guys. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's see how large the channel can get, and again, thank you for every single person who submitted questions, who subscribes, who watches my videos every week. I really appreciate it, and hopefully now you've got a better picture of who I am as a person, not just some random weird kid doing robot videos in his spare time in his dining room. Anyway, thank you, and I'll see you next time.